Mark, commiserations. In terms of where this game was won and lost, is it down to one moment or is it several, do you think?
It's several. It never is one moment. However, it's really obvious at the back end when you miss a moment like that, it stands out like a sore thumb, I guess. But we did have really strong moments in the game to maybe put it out of sight a little bit. I think batting first, we were set well to get 200 and maybe fell a little bit short. I think that might have just put the game beyond Sussex. But then we bowled well, got in front in our bowling game, and then probably missed that chance at the wrong time.
So, I mean, in terms of the batting to start with, there were several points where it looked as if it was just about to really launch forward for that 200. Do you really feel that was what was needed, or was it, again difficult to put your finger on one thing?
Well, it's a pretty crude format, and it's to get high scores you've got to take risks, and every time you take in high risks, there's chance of losing a wicket and maybe getting a new batter into the crease. New batters have found it tough to get going straight away, so we thought the batters in had the best chance of getting us to 200. Maybe just lost them at the wrong time, but they bowled really well last 2 overs and restricted us to the 186, which seemed to make the difference towards the back end.
And I mean, both sides, but particularly Gloucestershire in that power play in the second innings, it seemed as though the lid was being kept on things at that stage. Did you sort of feel as though at that point things were pretty much under control?
Yeah, I was really pleased with our power play. I think they got up to 40-something in the end. However, the options they had to take to get there, weren't overly convincing. So I thought coming out of the power play, we were in the best position to go on and win the game. But probably a bit like Hove, the Allsop Coles partnership is the one that put us to the sword there, and they did it again. They played really well, and but I think 15 off the last over with David Payne bowling it. I was disappointed with the umpire's interpretation of the wide, with the batter standing on the wide line. I think they got that wrong, which could have made a difference.
And in terms of the final stages, I mean, there are always, I guess, not just necessarily catches, but just little bobbles. I guess you're always going to get that on a slightly bumpy outfield. Yeah. Is that just something that you look at and think, well, these things are going to happen, or not?
Yeah, I think here that the bobbles in particular were challenging. The catches, you expect guys to make those more times than not. So particularly the one missing the last over, reasonably straightforward. The context of that catch obviously was big because it would have meant a dot ball, would have meant a new batter. It would have put the game in our favour quite massively. So that was tough to take. But in terms of bobbles, I thought the guys threw themselves around to try and make sure on a tough outfield, and I thought the ground feeling was pretty good.
And finally, I'm not going to ask for a full post-mortem on the campaign. I mean, you've ended up coming into this game, penultimate game, with still an outside chance of making it. But in terms of reflecting on the campaign, of course, lots of games, lots of moments. But how do you sum things up as far as the stage that Gloucestershire are at now?
Yeah, I think we alluded to it earlier, but the slow start didn't help. When you're going into your 6th game and you haven't got a point on the board, you're on the back foot somewhat. So really pleased how we kind of bounced back at the back end of that first half, if you like. We knew second half we had no wriggle room at all in those 7 games, and maybe the Surrey game is the one that stands out. I think that's a game we should have won at Bristol. But the others on the second half of the campaign, really pleased with the efforts.
And just finally, on Tom Smith, having announced his retirement today, obviously an absolute stalwart of the club, and I think you could hear from everybody around the ground what he's meant to the fans here. Just a few words on Tom Smith, the cricketer, and also the now coach and person as well.
Yeah, so Tom has been embarking and working on his transition into coaching for the last couple of years. Obviously working with me on the championship coaching team, but certainly he was very committed to this T20 campaign. We had a little bit of a change of shape which saw him miss out in probably the second half of the campaign, but his contributions have been great throughout, whether he's on the pitch or off, fully committed, helping us out, and he's done that and more over the I'm not sure 18, 19 years he played, not just for us but for the other counties as well, so probably deserves a really good send-off from a stellar playing career.